I've set up a canvas with 4 points and a starting object. We will move the starting object through the 4 points using the animation feature. Using the animation feature is fairly simple. You merely click inside the shape and then left click and pick Add Animation. This is very important. You will get a list of all the possible animations you can make. You can make as many as you want at a time. It is very important though to make sure that you have always selected the ones you want. For example, we will use position and fill. Notice that they are highlighted once you click off them. It is very easy to open up this screen at some point and say, oh yeah, I was just down here position, I want position, and click it again. If you do, I just clicked it, notice the color does not change, so you do not know that what you really did is when you move your mouse off it, you deselected it. It is very easy to deselect something and not know it and start wondering why your animations went crazy. So at this point we have the position and the fill. Those are the two we will use for these animations. Once I have them picked, I very carefully click off of the object I'm going to move. At this point we've created the range that the animation is going to move in. Now, I want the animation to start here. I always move the time frame to where I want the animation to start and move the animation over to that area. You don't have to do that. Again, I clicked up here now because I clicked on the animation, it shows it. I could very easily say I want position to make sure it's clicked and click it again, and I would actually be deselecting it. So again, I will click off of my object to make sure I don't mess anything up. Now this is critical. You would think here you want to click and set your starting point. You don't. Rule number 1 is never click on this starting diamond. When you're ready to position it, all you have to do is very simply come to the end one and click on it. When you do, notice that the time bar changed and your man is now selected, your asset. Now, whatever, you can just simply move that to the new location and you're done. Don't click anything else. Go up to the time bar and move it, and you can see it moves the way it should. You've only had to click on one positioning arrow. If you click on more, you're gonna go nuts. So now we want to add our second animation. We simply have to move this over. If we try to click here, you'll see you have this arrow saying that your animation is selected. These little double arrows tell you that your animation is selected. Don't click there. Move your end timeline off of it. You can use this frame counter if you want to. But again, now if you want it to start right there, you can put your cursor right where you want. And as long as you don't have the double arrows, you can click. I just clicked the left click, right click. I can say add animation. And again, this is another animation. I need to pick position and fill color. Those are the two I want. And again, I'm going to click off of the animation. Notice that it started because I clicked there and it was on the timeline. It started right where I started it. I rarely do that because I'd rather make it and then move it where I want it. Now, as I said, the important thing is never click on that starting one. All we have to do to make this work is click on the end one and move it over to where we want it. Now remember that we set both color and position. The first one we didn't change the color on, but this one we want to change the color on to make sure that works. All we have to do is come up to the color picker. Let's make it turn to a kind of a bright red. Magenta, yeah, it's a fine magenta. And that's all we have to do. Don't be clicking anything else. Click off of your the item you want. Now if you move the time frame, it goes back to 2, back to 1, they're blue, and it turns red. We will add one more. Again, click anywhere in the object to select it. I'm going to right click, add animation, position, and color. I'm going to click off of the animation, move my animation over to where I want it to start. This time I'm going to leave it apart for a very specific reason. And again, notice I brought it up again. Don't click on it. Now, all I have to do is click here where I want that animation to end, pull it down, change my color again, let's change it to a green this time. Don't click anything. I'm going to click off of the animation, go to my timeline, and it works just the way it should. After you do this a while, you can really get used to where you want to click and where you don't want to click, and being careful. Okay, now here's something that's very important. When you set up an animation to move, it's moving from the first to the last triangle. This first position here is always the same as this last one. So it moves from here to here. Again, this position on this next animation is going to be the same as the last one, no matter what you do. So if in this case we have it moving from this point to this point as moves, because there's no animation at this point, it stays the same, and now it moves from that point down to this one. Here's where you can get into a lot of trouble. Remember that animations, regardless of how many you have and whether or not there's a gap in them, are sequential. If we decide, oh, we want this one just to start down here, and think that this one is going to stop here, and that because we're now here we can immediately start down here, if we click on this position, now it lets us move this down here. So you would think that this is going to, when I move from here to here, it's going to move from 3 to 4. But watch what happens. Nothing happens. When I come back here now, nothing happens. But if I come back here, now things are totally out of whack, because I no longer have that third point in there. This point and this point are always the same. So now if we come back to this point, or that point, doesn't matter, either one of them, we click on it, and we click on it. Now when we move this up to here and we don't mess with anything else, again click off it to say we're done, things should work. This goes back to 2 to 1, 2 to 3, 4. You might want to play with this quite a bit and get used to this concept, because it's really easy to get lost. The best way to get used to these animations and to learn them is just to make some and start playing with them. While we have this, I will hit run, and you can see it goes up 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's what we want. So I hope this has helped. It certainly helped me making it, and I hope that it'll help you in learning how to use them.